Hello everybody. I thought I'd have a little communication with everybody after I received a spirit communication a few weeks ago. And on thinking about it, I thought we would expand and share what I've received because it is of interest to the world. We're all in changing times at the moment. And in particular, it focused around the USA. And the information that came in was about a pivotal time we are at in history, so to speak. And there is a particular person, the former President of the United States, who seems to be at the centre of this, and a bit of a lightning rod for a lot of people who aren't happy, have grievances, have things they want changed in a certain way, and for all many reasons he's a lightning rod was what they actually showed me. The pivot, and then this previous president being a lightning rod for all of these people and energies and changes around us, and that we have decisions and choices coming up for many people, well, mostly in terms of this person in the United States. These changes and discontentment is worldwide, as there normally is, but it does tend to have a particular flavour and direction at the moment that is in a number of countries, but I will stick to the reading that Spirit showed me about this person. And I thought we would look at the next 10 months ahead so we can have a bit better timing from the information that they gave me. And I would record that for you all. So we're having a look and focusing on the former President of the United States as the lightning rod. And nothing ever happens by mistake, so I will pull that card out and show it to you as is. 2 cards, and just for the sake of those who might not visually be able to see as well, one was the 5 of Cups and one is the Death card. And so that people don't panic, I do want to reiterate that the tarot cards, whilst I'm a psychic medium of 30 years and we don't really need them, as I mentioned, I already received information, the cards help give me timings, because that's the most difficult part I find to share this world, and timing. But using the cards helps me do that. And what I wanted to mention to you, because of the Death card coming out, is that when you look at the tarot cards, they are symbols. Spirit communicates with us every day, mostly through signs, symbols, and I call it the language of spirit, symbols. So the Death card doesn't necessarily mean, when we are talking about the former president, because this is what we were doing the reading on, that he will pass. What it does mean is that there is a huge shift and change for him, a huge transformation. Whether he stays in his body or not is up to him, and I would never predict anything along those lines. But I want to emphasise that Death card mostly means that there's the complete end of one era and the beginning of another, at a very foundational, and I'm wanting to talk about this a bit because this has accidentally come out and nothing is by accident. So I would say that this is the theme for the whole reading, and it, in actual fact, the first card, the 5 of Cups, just for your visual, that one, was one of the cards I got up when I initially had the information for him. So the 5 of Cups is a loss, a disappointment, a sadness, But there is a bridge to a new life. So for anyone doing a reading, it's not always everything. The bridge shows us to a new life. It's up to us to move into that life and see what's across that bridge. So for him, the whole theme here is there will be some disappointment and sadness and loss, but it's not complete. It's not everything in his life. There are still things that are upright and standing for him, and he needs to just bridge across to them. What it will mean overall, I would say, for the USA and for him is that nothing will be the same. From where you live to who you know to the job you're doing, it's a major, major transformation. What I'll do is pull some cards out, and for here we'll look at the next 10 months so we can get some timings and fill in the details for you, because that's what we mostly like on this plane. We like to know the details and the timing of things. So as we look here, we're currently in May for the sake of this reading for people who are tuning in. And the first two cards we have are the Seven of Swords and the family card, the Six of Cups. I'll focus on them just for the moment and just pull a few cards out while I'm sitting here and talking. So in May and currently, the Seven of Swords and the Six of Cups talks actually about family and family ties. And I feel cheated here, or someone has been cheating. It tells me that, or someone in his family feels cheated. It is central around his family. I know there's a lot happening for the former president at the moment with all the indictments. But the current one that is being televised has had hush money payments for women regarding relationships or not alleged relationships. But what this card tells me is that the whole theme of what's happening for him at the moment and in his life is that things may be brought out that were hidden, that people may feel weren't fair or were being hidden from others in the family. And at the same time, I feel with this, as I actually read more into it, I actually feel it's interesting that the ex-president, funnily enough, may actually feel like he's the one that's being cheated, that this isn't fair. So I'm just being reminded by Spirit, thank you, that in the previous reading, information that came through, what I was surprised at was the karmic issue around everything that's happening. So karma, if you're not aware of it, is very much about what we seed, we reap, what we plant, what we sow, the rewards we reap. It's everything in life has an energy to it, and there's a learning to everything we do. We come in to learn. So what I'm being reminded of by Spirit here is that there's a lot of karmic things happening at the moment where it's coming out of what has been happening personally within the family, and also family that he feels family out in the world. So even though I'm wanting to do a reading for the USA on the bigger picture of what I received and what happens with the former president up to the election in November, at the moment he's focused on feeling quite cheated, and maybe family members are as well. In the next month or so in June, there's a lot of communications here for him, and these two cards are around women and communications here. One particular female in his life that's very close to him, females within his circle having communications, but in general as well, lots of communications and thinking about women And this may be from everything that's happening that is televised now, from this indictment with Stormy Daniels, the other woman and other females. Again, we have a similar thing in July, more female energy and talking and how people are feeling. In August, there's a real studying here of relating with people and how he's relating with his campaign and people and the world in general. And the month beyond that, September, we are looking here at a lot happening very quickly, and yet I'm getting a lot of deep emotional confusion. So I also feel that his mind may be more confused in September and rushed and angry and saying things that he may regret. And people, it may be going both ways in his campaign and family and people around him. So as we build up to the election, I am reminded, and I'm just pulling some more cards out here for the following months, October and November and December. In October, in the lead up to the election, I do feel he's resting. So he may need to rest for some reason. A lot of things that are around him are going to be sort of they're still there, they're not resolved, but they are sort of out into the side a bit. He's juggling time, money and energy, but there's a resting away or a resting, so that may even mean he needs to physically rest for some reason. And I'm being reminded of, again, a lot of information I had, that there is a possibility here that the overall feel is that there's a loss around this election for the former president. Whether he actually even makes it to the election may be an issue, and this particular time from September with a lot of confusion, and October resting away, it's almost like he needs to rest for some reason. And when we come to the election in November, again, I feel that there is some sadness and loss here, and I'm being referred back to the initial two cards we pulled out, which was the Five of Cups and the Death card. That I do feel that it's the end of the road in terms of the former president. This election will be a loss for the former president. Around the election itself, unsurprisingly, unfortunately, I do hate to say that there is conflict here in November, and what I do understand is that there is justice here. There is a fair election. There is an outcome that is fair and real and truthful. However, there will be some conflict from elements of the electorate that are not happy with it. From my perspective, or not my perspective, Spirit's perspective, because I'm reading cards, and that's sort of why I like reading cards a little, because whenever you read, you're never a perfect, clear channel, and why I wanted to use the cards today is a way of me confirming that from Spirit that this is correct information, and the information is that there's conflict here, but the election is fair and just. And I do feel, as I'm saying this, I'm actually understanding here that the GOP, I think they call it the Republicans, I do feel that this time, because what I'm seeing is Republicans kneeling down. So that to me feels like for them it's actually we're not going to continue with this conflict. We are accepting the result here and we are honouring the result here. So, in a way, this brings me back to the original message from Spirit, in that this is never about a human being. This is a pivotal moment in history of choosing for elections, choosing for fair and free elections, and honouring the highest part of our nature, looking at the best in people, working and campaigning on what we can aspire to, not what we go down to, what is possible within the world. And when we spend all our energy on focusing on, okay, that's the result, let's get on with it, I feel that in a way the kneeling down of the GOP is in a sense the beginning of a new beginning for the Republican Party, or parts of it, or however it goes. So as we're saying that, what I'd like to do is just recap to that and move forward to where it goes from there in the USA and the next election, because I do know that the last one has never really resolved things in terms of political parties and the Republican Party in general, and things have been quite conflicted over the board from all of that. So let's have a look from there at where the USA goes and what's possible in terms of beyond the election. And as we pull these cards out, okay. What I feel is that, yes, there's energy here that wasn't there before. Passion, drive, uplifting that expansive energy that I was just talking about. And also, it's been walled in about, there's an expansion. So possibly financially, in terms of trade of the world, in terms of their vision of what's possible, there's expansion here on top of what's already achieved. I do also get, and you will notice in the reading, a card called Ten of Swords. I do feel, and again I'm going back to previous information regarding the former president just momentarily here, that he will feel a victim, and it is very possible that he will feel restrained. So I'm feeling oppressed and restrained, and with this is possible either mentally and or physically. So he may be restrained in terms of where he lives. He may actually be imprisoned, or what he feels is an imprisonment, or maybe at his house. Although I do get a change of residence for him. When I say, as soon as I say that, I get a change of residence, be it Mar-a-Lago to another house or wherever. But I do feel that his reaction to all of this is going to be very extreme. And I do want to warn you about that, more extreme than ever before. And I do really want to emphasize that this comes in and goes out quite quickly, and I would not feed this extreme reaction. This is to do with his personal journey, not the journey of the USA. Because when I look at the journey of the USA, I have these two cards. When I look at Mr. Trump, he's in limbo, he can't move forward. And there's extreme pain here. And I want to go back to the karmic pain. This is his karma, not the USA's karma that he is going through. This is not something that the USA needs to live through or filter through its systems. And to go beyond to the USA, beyond Mr. Trump again. This is actually quite lovely when I move into this. And it's funny because I'm talking about government, I'm talking about a country, and I'm talking about politics, and yet it's all about relationships. And it makes my heart sing because it's an emotional moving onwards and upwards. You know, when you realise you just can't get any more out of a situation and you just go to a higher level. You know, sometimes we break up with someone or other things happen that are a disappointment, but eventually when we can accept that and we move forward, there's this sort of going upwards here that I can see. And it's built on relationships, which is really an interesting concept, that in rebuilding relationships, in rebuilding the government, in rebuilding the country and healing relationships. And there's actually a female that's quite pivotal to this, I have to say, coming up to all of this quite soon. So there's going to be a female coming very prominently forward here that really thinks clearly, beyond all the emotional. And this, I feel, is a bit like the feminine energy, that nurturing. Now that can be within Mr. Biden because he has a number of twos and that's all female energy. And it's all about cooperation, mediation. There can also be another female come in that helps with that, be it the Vice President or whomever. But what I'm seeing mostly here is healing. So whilst it's a country and politics and money and everything else, I think that when a country and the very top part of that country, the authority, the governments, the institutions, the police, the judiciary are in harmony, all work together and they all heal. And look, let's face it, there were problems and there are things that did need to come out. However, this to me now seems like a pivotal point of healing and moving onward, upward, and emotionally healing the country. And from that energy, that's where the abundance comes. That's where the good life comes, the abundance of trade, the abundance of opportunities for individuals. So I think just to finish off, I'll pull two more cards just to see what Spirit wants to tell us that we haven't already asked. So I'll just pull two cards out here. Now, again, Eight of Wands and Temperance. Now, both of those talk about the passion, lots of things happening. You know, when you have a lot of ideas and everything's starting to happen and you're grounding those ideas, things can actually happen, not have them as an idea anymore. You know, it's like this. And at the same time, temperance. And I think that's the major energy here that we are looking at. And I'll just hold it up to finish off in front of me. Because temperance is all about peace. It's all about the mixing of the waters, knowing that if you put it out, it will come back. If we're putting out work into the country, if we're putting out positive messages into the country, if we're doing the work, and in time, things look peaceful and calm. And like there's a trust more and a belief more that things are going to happen well and we are all going to be well at the end of it. And that certainly is my wish for our friends. I'm in Australia, but my wish for my USA friends and brothers and sisters and the country itself and the world is that we have this kind of peace coming to us all. Namaste. The one thing I just wanted to add a short note at the end of that reading on the USA election in November 2024, and that is that we all have free will. And when you do a reading, the wonderful thing is we still have choice. So please choose to vote and go as you would normally go. We don't want to interfere with the karma, with the result of the USA election. Everyone, if you can go out and vote in the way that you wish to vote. I'm not saying how you should vote, but still please go ahead, vote. Don't just think it's all done, we don't have to worry about it. Spirit's done all the work. We still need to do all the work. So whatever your way of voting, please go ahead and vote and do as you would do so that everything happens as it should. Namaste.